Welcome back to the Real Estate 401k Show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein, alongside Justin Frederick and Ryan Gerdes. Gentlemen, we don't do this very often, kind of like have a follow-up from a previous episode, but there was so much information to get into, and the response and the questions we've been getting have been so fantastic that we thought we would continue the conversation. And so, like the previous episode, go ahead and text the word Fannie to 623 AZ RECON. That's Fannie to 623 AZ RECON. What a lot of, I'm not going to say, a lot of first-time home buyers, I think what they don't understand is when they are going out and buying a home, let's say it's a $450,000 home. Let's just say, to make the numbers easy for me, they're going to put $50,000 down. They are asking a lending institute, in essence, to loan them $400,000. And you need to stop and let that sink in. That's why sometimes the home buying process and the qualifying process is such a pain in the ass, and sometimes can get frustrating because the lender's asking for this at the last second and asking for this at the last second. You have to step back and go, well, I'm asking somebody to basically loan me $400,000 over a 360-month period.
Especially when, like, your history is the most you've ever borrowed might have been $5,000 on a credit card, or 10 on a vehicle. Yeah. So we're talking about a massive jump.
So with that, and it does, and it should make sense that what the lender who is going to lend you the $400,000 has to do is assess the risk. Like, how risky is this borrower? Is there a high risk that they're not going to be able to make the payments, that they're going to stop making the payments, or is it a low risk? And I know, Justin, there's a lot that goes into it. There's formulas and so forth. But there are key risk factors that the lending institutes take a look at. And Fannie Mae has recently, lessened the burden and really kind of minimize these risk qualifications. So I'll let you kind of jump into it. My first one, and I think this is huge, but you're going to have to define variable income for us. But if your income was considered variable, that was considered a higher risk, not anymore.
It was actually considered a risk. Now that risk has been removed. And that started, I believe, in like 2022 that they made that a risk. So your variable income sources would be commission, bonuses, like shift differentials. What else?
Would overtime be?
Overtime. There you go. That's a variable.
If you have a side hustle, and
that's going to be a second job. That's a side hustle. So, but the variables. Basically, if we had a base income and then we had a commission attached to that base income, it made the file. It had a risk factor, and so you get multiple risk factors. You got lower debt to income ratios that you'll get qualified for. But you have people out there that have been doing commission-based jobs for 30, 40 years of their life, and we're calling that a risk factor.
Did it change how you guys actually calculate income?
Correct.
Okay.
There was a lot of times where we would get a denial having the base income and the commission and the bonus in the file, and we would wipe out the commission and the bonus, and we would get an approval.
So if I made $100,000 base and then let's say $20,000 in bonuses or commissions, whatever you want to call it, on the variable side, you guys would just wipe out the $20,000 and then you would base my DTI just off of the $100,000. Mm-hmm. So
just so we could get an approval.
All that extra work basically went for nothing, and maybe I even had to go into a different loan program now in order to allow for higher or lower debt to income.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. So that was a big deal. I mean, we've just this update just happened. I'd say about a month ago. But it really has helped when it comes to these variable income sources. And there's a lot of salespeople out there. There's a lot of, even plumbers, things that you wouldn't think they would be just a base salary type of individual, but they're incentivized per job.
Right. It's used as a retention tool. So
correct.
If you're doing well, I want to pay you for your actual
I want you to do well,
Results.
and I want you to do it fast.
Right.
And that's how they were getting paid. And so yeah, I want result based income, and so that makes sense. And this was a big deal. So happy to get rid of that variable income risk. The other one that we haven't talked about is the appraisal waivers.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
I love the appraisal waivers. Now, if you're getting an appraisal waiver or a property inspection waiver is what we call it in the biz, that just means that the investor is finding the value in the home. So sometimes people are very skeptical to take advantage of those appraisal waivers, and they think that we're trying to get away from seeing the value of the home. But in fact, if we get an appraisal waiver, that means the value is there. The investor is going to make sure that their investment is just as good as your investment. They don't want you to default. They don't want the home to be actually less in value than what you purchased it for, because they know that the chances of default is higher at that point. So what they did was our minimum appraisal waiver loan to value was 80%. So what that means is you put 20% down on a property, 80% loan to value, you had a shot at getting an appraisal waiver.
Well, and let's jump into that real quick so that people understand. If you're buying a home and your lender requires an appraisal, that's $500, $600, $700 possibly out of your pocket, because somebody's got to pay for the appraisal. And so when you get an appraisal waiver, they're not actually hiring a independent appraiser to go to the property, measure it, inspect it, or whatever they're going to do. So there's that positive. It can be a $500-$700 savings for a buyer.
It's correct, and it absolutely is a positive. And we've had borrowers that decide, hey, I don't want to take advantage of this. I want to see what the actual value is, and 100% of the time, those values come in higher than what the purchase price is. So that's what I've seen on my end. I don't know if any other lenders have seen anything other than that, but 100% of the time we see the value there.
So are they doing it because the value's there, or are they doing it because the buyer has a lot more skin in the game, or both?
I absolutely think that the skin in the game plays a role, but now you can do it at 10% down, in order to get that waiver. That's a big deal. But I still feel like our buyers have enough skin in the game in order to accomplish the goal of purchasing the home. And on the other side, if the investor sees the values there and they're going to issue an appraisal waiver, right on. Right on. Let's save some money, because a lot of these costs have gone up, just like we were talking about the CFPB. The CFPB, although they're a regulatory institution, they have added cost to us because of the amount of work that we have to do with that, not only on the title side, but also on the lending side of things. So, and on the appraisal side of things, now there's quality control that the appraisal vendor management has to review it. Somebody's got to pay them. So it always comes back to the consumer.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that some people, and we've seen that with buyers, where they're like, well, appraisal waiver, that's kind of putting me in jeopardy. I don't know what it's truly appraising for, and I'm going to now overpay. Have you ever had orders from your bosses that said, hey, Justin, today I want you guys to go out and overlend?
No, not even once. Not even once. Not even a hint at it.
All right. If you're looking for more information on not only the home buying process and the real estate wealth building process, but more important on how your credit looks and your ability to borrow money to invest in your real estate future, go ahead and text the word Fannie to 623 AZ RECON. That's Fannie to 623 AZ RECON. One of the other ones on the list, and again, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you go back to the previous episode, because we're continuing the conversation, we're going to talk about the risk associated with student loan debt and medical debt, and first-time home buyers used to be a risk factor. And so I encourage you to go back to the previous episode to learn more about this. But the last one on this list is removing the analyzation of composition of revolving debt. What does that mean?
So basically, they were having the creditors review revolving debt and making sure there was a factor within the revolving debt that if you just paid your minimum payment on that, it would hurt you. And if you're paying extra, it wouldn't help you, but it wasn't a risk factor. So I still feel like, that's necessary, because if you're just paying your minimum payment, it's kind of like an option arm where you're actually increasing your balance every month.
Right.
You're not
That interest is accruing fast.
Correct. I feel like that's necessary but the problem is consumers don't know that. So when they're applying for a loan, too late. You've been making your minimum payment. I feel like they should have to have a consultation with a creditor before they're actually allowed to take out a new credit card, just so you know how to use it.
Yeah, but they hide behind all those legal documents. Say,
course.
you signed all these.
Yeah,
things.
here's 30 pages of legal documents in extremely fine print.
All on an app.
Right.
And just click this button.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go.
Right.
There you go. But we're going to give you points.
And a hat.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel like we need to do better as a society to educate our young consumers, even our consumers, just how credit cards work and how we should be paying them. I'm sure you guys were the same way, because when I was in college and I got my first credit card, my minimum payment was $25. All I was paying was $25.
Yeah.
I paid my payment. I'm good. My credit's going to be great because I paid my payment.
I almost got a new hat last Saturday at the Phoenix Open. Ryan and I, we were in a section where there was very little shade. It was as hot as hell, and I didn't bring a hat with me. We went into the waste management store. That line was worse than anything that you've ever seen at Disneyland. And now when I walked, Ryan, I can't do this. I was looking for a tent that was giving away free hats if I signed up for a new credit card. I got that desperate, man.
Didn't I bring you a hat?
On Saturday.
That was Saturday. I meant Friday.
Oh, okay. When you guys were out there.
Friday we did
day
this.
late, dollar short.
So I do have a question in regards to all this. I hear I hear all these good things about making it easier for first-time home buyers to get approved. What are they doing to actually make it more affordable?
So we haven't seen that yet. There is low to moderate income programs that with lower income limits, you can get what's called LLPA, which stands for loan level pricing adjuster caps, which cap out the amount that they can charge you on those loan level pricing adjusters, which essentially makes the interest rate cheaper, not by much. There's also
It's a start.
It's a start, but these programs have been around for 15 years.
Right, because these have nothing to do with the grants
No.
or any of the down payment assistance type of stuff.
There's a first-time homebuyer program through Fannie Mae. It's just strictly a first-time homebuyer program that gets rid of all of the loan level pricing adjusters, but there's an income limit on that, and it's just under $100,000, which it's not that much. When you get multiple buyers on a loan, it doesn't work out.
Right.
So we definitely need a change to that. We need a change to definitely promote first-time home buyers, because we got to get more people in homes,
Especially in the Maricopa County market.
Yeah.
It's getting a little more and more difficult for them.
Well, if you are a first-time home buyer and you feel somewhat overwhelmed, this is obviously a lot of information, and Justin's team can really dial it in and simplify it for you, or you're any type of borrower that may have previously been denied for a loan. A lot of these changes, Justin, are taking people that have been denied mortgages over the last 12 months, and these changes kind of loosen the load and some people are sitting there who've been denied might be in a position to actually get approved.
It can absolutely help. And you just don't know unless you try. And I'm just going to throw it out there. We do soft credit checks, so it's not going to impact you whatsoever. All you're going to get is education on where you're at, where you stand, and what we may need to do in order to get you into position to buy.
All right, and all you got to do to start that conversation is text the word Fannie to 623 AZ RECON. That's Fannie to 623 AZ RECON.